Hello all and welcome to Astro Wheel of Fortune. My name is Vlada and I read tarot, and I also draw on this channel and read my channel drawings too. So today I'm doing something very different. This is going to be a reading where I read my own drawings that I decided to draw the other day. I drew 3 drawings. They're all of Russian dolls, or matryoshki as they're called in Russian. I had a bit of an obsession with Russian dolls when I was like little. I just really loved their kind of like the fact that like one fitted into the other. There was something about it that I really loved. And the other day I was feeling creative and I decided, let me draw this thing that I really love. I actually have one here on my desk. It always stands beside my decks. It kind of like protects my decks. So I have one beside me here all the time. So I wanted to draw some of them, but I wanted to draw them intuitively with different messaging coming through. I wanted to draw them from a point of view where I wasn't thinking too much about what the message of the drawing should be, or how the drawing should look, or what do I want it to be. So I really enjoy drawing these specific drawings. Now, you will see the full drawing once you pick the group. I wanted to hide most of the drawing for the actual picking of the groups. I don't know why I wanted to only leave the faces in. So we've got, I hope you can see the faces. It's not really that important about the faces. It's more important that you go to the energy that is pulling you. So whether it be group 1, group 2, or group 3. These are not the original drawings. They are printouts of the drawings as well. They're a little bit smaller than the original drawings. And I have 3 tarot cards kind of covering the drawings as well, because the tarot cards are going to help us with the message, but first and foremost we're focusing on the drawing and its messaging basically. I also wanted to say I will probably do more of these because I just enjoy the process of drawing something that I can then read, or like drawing an image that I can then dissect and derive a message from. So it's really exciting for me. This is my first one of many, I would say. I don't know how often I will do them. I don't want to commit to how often I will do them. I want to do them extremely intuitively, and I want to do them at my own pace, if that makes sense. So this is something very new, so let me know what you think of it. Let me know, how you resonate with it, or do you enjoy it? Do you not enjoy it? If you don't enjoy it, I'll probably do it anyway because I'm enjoying it, but it's always good to get feedback. It's always good to hear feedback. So without further ado, I won't continue going on about this. This is going to be just a very general message from your guides, or whatever it is that you need to hear from these drawings that I did, but also from the tarot cards that are encompassing the drawing. So you've got group 1, group 2, and group 3. You can pause the video now if you want to muse on the cards and think about them a little bit. If you want to take your time to meditate over which one is calling you. But I'm going to get started. So we're going to get started with group number 1, and we're going to push these a little bit. And we're going to get started with group number 1. I'm actually thinking I want to move these out of frame because they're going to be distracting us if they're in frame, I think. So I'm going to move them out of frame just here. And we're going to get started with group number 1. Okay, so you were attracted to this specific Russian doll that I drew. We will reveal the drawing now. So I'm going to reveal the drawing, and I'm going to put the tarot cards to the side for now. So here is the drawing that I made. We've got a Russian doll, which is opened. That is revealing an eye, and also it is revealed in the opening of this Russian doll that there's like tea in the cup as well, and it's a cup. The Russian doll is like a part of a cup. I really enjoyed the morphing of the imagery when I was doing this specific drawing. I really enjoyed how, because I was really interested in drawing an open Russian doll. to begin with, but I wasn't really sure where it was going. And when the teacup and the eye took place, I thought it was really exciting and really fun. So for this group, I feel like you're opening up in some sort of way. There's something within you that is being cracked open. That's the way that it feels. And with the angel wings on the back of the Russian doll's back, it feels like you're elevating yourself, like you're trying to lift yourself in some sort of way. You could be trying to lift yourself in a project. Maybe you're trying to elevate yourself in some sort of way, spiritually or emotionally, or maybe even mentally. But the main fact is that you're currently in the process of elevating yourself. So this card did remind me, I'm not giving these cards or these drawings like names or anything like that, but it did remind me of the judgment card a little bit. It gave me that kind of vibe. It felt like judgment energy a little bit. I was also getting the Ace of Cups with this card because we've got this cup of tea here. So it kind of feels like energy of the judgment card being meshed together and merged together with an Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups is very warm energy. I also feel like the way that the hands are holding in the middle of the cup, there's something very centered about the Ace of Cups energy that I'm picking up from this drawing. So the Ace of Cups and the Judgment card, it makes me feel like you are elevating something from a place of love. You're elevating something from a place of warmth, affection, and care. And you'll notice there's steam coming out of the cup of tea, or like to me, it felt like tea. You might think it's coffee. You know, you take this as it resonates as well. And I'm really interested in hearing your own interpretations of this drawing. If you feel like sharing it in the comments, or if you feel like just noting it for yourself, you don't have to share it. I'm very interested in seeing how people read imagery, because I think we all read imagery differently and we associate with imagery differently. So if you're getting something else from this drawing, I would really encourage you to take that use your own intuition to see what this drawing might mean to you. So what I'm getting is that you're elevating something in your life, or elevating yourself currently. Maybe this is just a general energy that you're embodying right now, where you're elevating yourself from a place of love, a place of warmth, a place of affection, and a place of being very centered. And you are I'm kind of getting like you're opening your third eye in some sort of way, because it's like this feels like a third eye energy. So you're opening your third eye in some sort of way. And you're realizing, something that I'm getting with this drawing is that you're realizing that within you, something that I'm getting here, okay, I need to form my thought process and the sentence that I'm trying to get out. Because if you were looking at Russian doll, you would expect that if you opened that Russian doll, that what would be inside would be another Russian doll, or more of the same, or more of the similar. But when we open up this Russian doll, this one specific one, when we open it up, we notice that there's tea in it, and it's actually not a Russian doll at all, and it's actually a cup of tea. And all of a sudden we realize, oh, and also there's an eye popping out of this tea cup all of a sudden, and there's third eye popping out. So something that you're discovering about yourself is that maybe you were expecting more of the same when you opened up and started elevating yourself. Maybe you were expecting more of the same type of projects from yourself. Maybe you were expecting the same type of feelings from yourself, the same type of thoughts from yourself. But all of a sudden you're noticing how cracking yourself open has made you realize that you are something completely different to what you thought you were in the past. You're something completely other and unfamiliar to yourself. And so there might be a sense of confusion, but I don't think it's insane confusion, or confusion that is very, very foggy. It feels, I wouldn't even call it confusion. What's the word that I'm trying to look for? It feels more like baffling. energy or puzzled energy. It's kind of like, oh, what I was expecting is something very different to what is coming through. Now that I've challenged myself, now that I have made changes to myself from a place of love, what I was expecting and what's actually happening are two very different things. So there's that kind of feeling to you, or if you're not currently in that kind of feeling, I do feel or suspect that that kind of feeling is going to be coming through very soon. Like soon you will be feeling a sense of oh, what I'm discovering about myself as I'm elevating, as I'm expanding, as I'm changing, I'm noticing that I'm not seeing more of the same, but I'm seeing very different things about myself all of a sudden. And I'm realizing that what I thought I was is not at all true. So maybe certain beliefs about yourself are about to change, or are maybe changing currently. So that's what I have with this drawing. That's what I'm noticing about the energy of this drawing. But there is an elevation, but I'm also noticing how the elevation is happening slightly, like she's leaning slightly left. So it makes me feel like you're leaning to, you thought you were going to go up. You thought you were going to go in one direction as you were elevating, and you're noticing that the direction where you want to go all of a sudden is very different. So not only are you realizing that you're a different person, or you're just a different type of energy than you thought you were, you're also noticing that you don't want to go in the direction where you were gearing up to go in the past. You're noticing that you kind of are feeling like you want to switch direction. And also the left makes me think west, like, you know, if you looked at a map, left would be west, if that makes sense. Like, obviously it doesn't make sense exactly, but like that's what I'm getting. And so it makes me feel like maybe some of you want to move west of where you're living. That could be potentially true. Again, doesn't have to mean like you're wanting to move physically too far or anything like that, but maybe you want to move a town over, or a county over, or a city over, or a country over that is to the west of where you are, basically. So wherever that is, maybe that will resonate for some of you, but that's something that I'm picking up on here as well. The moving part does not necessarily have to apply to everyone. I feel like it's more specified kind of message for someone out there, but the general message is that you're elevating yourself, and in elevating yourself, you're noticing that you want to go in a slightly different direction, and things that you wanted in the past are not things you want in the present all of a sudden, because you were realizing, like, I'm not a Russian doll, I'm a cup of tea. Like, it's almost like that kind of feeling. It's like, I thought all this time that I was a Russian doll and that there was more Russian dolls in me, but I'm just realizing that I am actually just a very fancy cup of tea, and there's tea and warmth in me, and there's actually this like third eye energy in me as well, which I haven't noticed before, I didn't perceive before. And so I want to do something else or something different. Maybe you're gonna uncover some sort of intuitive abilities, or some sort of mediumship skills or something like that, third eye skills, that you're gonna realize that you want to take your life in a slightly different way now that you're realizing that you have those skills, if that makes sense. It's kind of like if you didn't know you were a painter and all of a sudden you discovered, let's say you worked all your life as a baker, and you were like, I'm a baker, I just need to elevate myself as a baker, and all of a sudden you tried to pick up painting one day, and you realized you had like a natural talent for it, and you were really enjoying it, it was really for you, and so you realized, oh, I always wanted to be the best baker in all the land, but now I'm realizing that I have these painting abilities, and I kind of want to give them a go, and I want to see how I can use them, and how I can advance my life with those skills that I didn't know I had before, but now I do. Basically, that's the energy that I'm getting for you. Okay, let's see. We're gonna look at the tarot cards that came in with the reading. So we're gonna take the cards and line them up beside the drawing. So we've got the Six of Swords in reverse, Knight of Pentacles. So the second card is sideways, and for some reason I want to read it sideways, and the third card is here. I kind of feel like because it was like this, or so these cards would have been like this. when we were hiding the drawing. So it makes me think like this is middle ground energy. Knight of Pentacles. It's like nor here nor there. So I feel like I want to take this as the past, this as the future, and this is the middle ground and how to integrate it. So your current message, so the way I want to apply the tarot cards to what I already said with the drawing. So I'm going to be applying the Six of Swords as the past card to the drawing. So let's see how we can apply it. So Six of Swords in reverse can talk about many things. It can talk about not wanting to move on, or feeling like if you are to move on, like you could never come back potentially. And there's almost like a sadness according to that. So there might be certain things or certain parts of your life, even though you know you must let go of, now that you're going in a different direction and now that you're realizing you're a different person than you maybe what you thought you were to begin with. There's this feeling of, well, if I let go, a likelihood is that I will never be able to come back to certain things. So maybe letting go of certain relationships now that you realize that you're actually going a different way or morphing into a different person. Maybe letting go of certain projects, or letting go of certain things that you've worked on for a very long time. Letting go of certain types of jobs that you've worked in. Also, this could relate to letting go of certain beliefs, but it's almost like you know that you need to let go of those beliefs because your belief system has expanded, or the way that you think about life has expanded or changed. But it's almost sad to let go of those beliefs that you used to hold, not because you can't live without them or there's something bad about letting go of them. It's more like those beliefs really helped you through life at a certain point in your life. Those beliefs really helped you through difficulties at a certain point in your life, and it's going to be very difficult to say goodbye. It's almost like saying goodbye to an old friend, saying goodbye to really important people or energies or projects in your life that have gotten you somewhere, to a point. These things have gotten you somewhere really important, and although you must leave them, it does not mean that it makes it any easier. And it kind of feels like a long goodbye, you know, if you were like moving countries. For some of you, maybe it is that you want to move countries or move somewhere, but you know that if you move, you're gonna have to like leave a lot of people behind, and you know, leave a lot of connections behind, and it won't be as easy to keep in touch with them. But there is this kind of feeling like a long goodbye when you know you have to go, but you keep like turning around and saying goodbye to the people and saying, oh, I just don't want to go, oh, I have to go. It's like last minute, waiting till the last minute to leave, waiting till the last minute to make the move. And there's nothing bad about it. I feel like your guides are saying, yes, you are kind of like, maybe I wouldn't even call it procrastinating. You're extending your change, or you're extending your progress and moving forward. But it's not a bad thing, because it feels like a long ass goodbye. It's kind of like if you knew you had to move and you had 2 days before you're moving to this new country, you would want to spend every minute of every day that you have left with the people that you love and the people that you care about, even though you're leaving them. And maybe you'll see them, maybe you won't see them again, but it's like the people that you're leaving behind, you're like, let me milk every single moment that I have with them so that I can really appreciate how great we were together and how much they have given me. And this doesn't only have to pertain to people, this is also to do with projects. Maybe you're milking the last of a project, or you're milking the last of a job, you're milking the last of something before you inevitably leave it behind and move on with your life. Basically, that's what I'm getting. And it's not like you're milking it not in a bad way. You're milking it because you're like, let me just, like, I really want to stay present right now so that I can really enjoy this and feel this energy to its maximum level before I go. Then we're moving into, I'm going to do the future, and I'm going to do the merging part after. So we're going to look at the future. So 5 of Wands in the future. So don't be worried about this card, because I know like some people think that it's bad. but I honestly don't see the Five of Wands. It needs to be in context of other cards. Usually if I pull a Five of Wands, like I kind of feel like I need a clarification. Depends on the reading, but with the Five of Wands being here, it feels like you are going into somewhere where you will be a competitor, or you will be competitive with other people of the same standard or the same status. For example, it could be that you're going into a very competitive job and you're going to be a competitor in that job. So maybe you're going into a career path where you are competent and competitive with other people. It doesn't mean that you are competitive in this kind of stressful way and you have to stress about like keeping your place in the sun or anything like that. Five of Wands just lets you know that you are a competitor or you're competitive in some sort of field. So it could also mean that you're moving into a place where there is like a healthy level of competition, and I wouldn't say like it feels like tension, but like I don't want to call it tension because that's what it feels like. There's a healthy level of like friendly competition. That's the way that it feels like. There's something about this energy that feels like people playing games or people doing competitive sports, but they're really enjoying. Maybe some of you are like moving into competitive sports. If you're not moving into competitive sports, maybe you're moving into just like something where you're playing on a team. You could be joining a team for something. Maybe it's a team that competes for some sort of win, prize, whatever. There is some sort of energy here, but really you're just moving into this very competent, competitive energy where you get to show off your skills and maybe win a couple of games or win something. Like there's that kind of feeling of I'm winning at life and I'm competitive. I don't always win. Sometimes I lose, but I'm really good that I'm good enough to compete with other people of my expertise, I guess, or something like that. There's that kind of feeling. But I'm getting more of a playful energy and more of a kind of like we're all here. We're kind of all equals and we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. And by competing with each other, we'll learn from each other rather than this aggressive kind of competition. So that is your future that you're moving into. And how you're integrating the two is the Knight of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles is laying sideways. So it's kind of, it's a very neutral energy. So to integrate something, I suppose you have to be quite neutral about things. So with the Knight of Pentacles being here, you're integrating that through slow progress. You're not rushing yourself. And that's what I mean about like not rushing yourself to let go of something or say goodbye to something here. Your best bet in integrating the two energies is to do it slowly, deliberately, and at your own pace. It's important that you are very grounded as you're integrating these energies. It's important that you're very stable as you're integrating these energies. And it's important that you connect to like almost Saturnian energy, I guess, because Saturn is all about taking your time with things, not rushing, and making sure that you have discipline. So the best way to integrate, to move, to elevate yourself, to step into a competitive energy is to do it with discipline and be slow about it when you truly feel in your hearts of hearts that you need to be slow right now. You are not in a rush. The thing that I'm kind of getting with your group here, group one, is that you are doing really, really well in whatever this expansion, elevation, leveling up that you're doing. But you keep thinking that even though you notice yourself leveling up and elevating and expanding, and even though you're noticing that it's maybe time to move on from certain things, or maybe it's time to leave certain things, abandon certain things, you are hard on yourself because you're not detaching or letting go of these things quick enough. And your guides are coming in here being like, no, you don't get it. Like, you are detaching at exactly the right pace. That's what it feels like. Maybe you are someone who realized the importance of the process of detachment in life, for manifestation purposes, or whether it's, for grounding purposes. The sense of detachment, you've realized it's really, really important. And literally, we have the top of the Russian doll detaching from the bottom of the Russian doll. Detachment. You've realized that detachment from something is really important in order for you to go further in life and to become more successful and to get the things that you want. But you're like, I just can't detach. It's like, why can't I fully detach? Like, I've detached in some ways. I've detached maybe in like this one way or another way. Like, maybe there's a couple of ways that I can think about how I've detached from this one thing, but I can't seem to fully detach from it. And your guides are coming in and saying, hey, that's exactly how it's meant to go for you. You're not meant to be detaching super quickly. You're not meant to be detaching in this kind of like rushed manner. You are meant to detach very slowly and very delicately and very gradually. You're a gradual integrator, I guess. You integrate things gradually. It doesn't mean that you do it that you're super slow or it takes you an age. It's that you don't like to detach everything all at once. You don't like to integrate everything all at once because you want to take your time with it to understand why you're integrating and why you're detaching, and that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And so you will get to this future energy of being competitive and being competent and being in some sort of very competitive field and being recognized in it, but you don't have to be there right now. You are taking very gradual steps towards it, and that's the best way to do it. And I'm almost getting with this drawing is like your guides are saying, sit down, have a cup of tea, relax, sit still, enjoy the warmth of like the cup of tea, enjoy the warmth of whatever, like just give yourself space to detach gradually. You don't have to force yourself to detach in order to achieve what you're trying to achieve. That's basically what I'm getting for you, group number 1. This was a great reading. I really, really enjoyed it. If you also liked it and you would like to share some feedback, maybe what you channeled from this drawing, I'd love to hear what you channeled. What you channeled from this drawing. I'm going to bring it up closer so that you can have a better look maybe. So that's what I have for you, group number 1. I hope you enjoyed this reading. As I said, if you feel like leaving feedback, make sure to do that, but I'm going to move forward. So we're moving on to the next group. So group number 2, let's get into your reading. So I have you here. So this is your drawing. We're going to reveal the drawing now. We'll put the tarot cards aside and we'll start with the drawing first and get into the tarot later to kind of assist us with the message. But first I'm going to channel a message from the drawing. Now, if at any stage you feel like you want to channel your own messages, that you're getting messages that are different from me, from channeling the specific drawing, please go with that. I feel like especially with general readings, it's really important to make sure that you practice your own intuition and you make sure to discern between what messages are for you and what messages are not for you. And also, if you're picking up on messages that I'm not saying in the drawing or in the reading, it's really important that you take those and you allow yourself to take those. So first and foremost, let's talk about this card. I'm going to start talking about how I started to draw it, and then I'll get into kind of like what was emerging and what I was thinking. So first of all, I wanted to draw a mermaid Russian doll. That was like my first thought that I wanted to do. It was like my first idea. But then realizing that I was drawing a Russian doll mermaid, it reminded me of a poem that was written by this Russian poet Pushkin, and there's a part in the poem where he says he describes like this magical landscape. He described this like magical energy, and there's like all these magical creatures in a forest, and he talks about them, like what they're like. And I remember that poem was read to me quite often when I was a kid. And there's one line where he says, "A mermaid is sitting in the branches." So one thing about the mermaid sitting in the branches, the mermaids, or they were called rusalki in Russian, and these were called, these were like the mermaids, but they weren't like fish mermaids, so they weren't mermaids, but they were called that word, rusalki, or rusalka, if one. They were actually bird women. So they were actually women with bird wings and, human faces. But I wanted to like almost put the two together. So we have the wings and we have the like mermaid body, the way like when you think of a mermaid, like the traditional mermaid, but I also wanted to take it from like the Russian folklore, where mermaids were these like bird women with human faces. And I put her on a branch because that was the poem where she's sitting on the branch, and I have her kind of like resting and relaxed, and she's very chill, and there's a night sky behind her with loads of stars, and it's very magical energy to me. So I feel like currently you're in a very magical energy, and you're almost like this very magical creature. You're a mermaid, but you're also a bird, and you have like all these very magical properties to you currently in your current energy. And I feel like your guides are coming in and saying that you are so much more magical, or so much more full of magical properties and energies and wisdom than you realize, or you allow yourself to realize and see. And right now, maybe the reason that you're not seeing it right now is because you're in a very peaceful rest period. Now, it doesn't mean that everything in your life seems peaceful, or that, you've no drama or no difficulties in your life right now. It's more subconscious, and it's more in the background. You're meant to be at a pause right now. If you're forcing yourself out of a pause right now, if you're forcing yourself out of period of just observation, relaxation, I feel like you might be needing more sleep than usual. You might be needing more time off from doing things that you're very used to doing. You might be noticing like, why am I not able to do chores that I used to be able to do? Why am I not able to take care of certain things all of a sudden? Not necessarily that you can't, but it's just like it's more difficult to take care of certain things than it is usually. It's because you're meant to be at a pause, at a standstill. You're meant to be taking some time to relax, and meditation especially might be very important. I was thinking when I was doing this card as well, it really reminded me. Now, I'm not naming these cards or these drawings anything. I'm just letting you know the things that it reminded me of. It reminded me of the energy of a hanged man, or the hanged man. The hanged man is it's a pause energy. It's an energy that is letting you know it's okay to meditate. It's okay to do absolutely nothing. It's okay to just sit in your own magic, because the hanged man is a very, there is something very, very spiritual to the hanged man, because the hanged man just knows that it's okay to sit and wait, and at a certain point something will come along that will interest you, or that something will come along that will get you to stop being the hanged man and put you into action. And there's a restful energy with this drawing, I feel, where I feel like your guides are coming through and being like, allow yourself to just rest and observe the magic of the pause. So whenever you're doing anything, or maybe you're noticing yourself wanting to speed up, or thinking like, why am I feeling so stuck? Why am I not able to do the things that I was able to do before? It feels like your guides are saying every time that you feel like that, it's really important that you just go to yourself, right? I need to pause. I need to observe what's so magical in the moment of the pause, give myself some time to meditate, give myself some time to even just sit down and observe my surroundings. But really, I feel like a lot of magical things are happening in your sleep. You might be having some very interesting or weird dreams right now. You could be dreaming of things, like I'm almost getting, you could be dreaming of places and scenery or scenes or situations that feel very surreal. There's something very surreal that's coming through. So you could be feeling, maybe that's the over, like if you had to describe the way that you're feeling right now, the way that you have been feeling, recently, it kind of feels like you would describe the feelings that you've been having as very surreal. It's like, I've never felt like this before. And in a way, you might be feeling a little bit defensive due to that. There might be a feeling of like, I feel really surreal. And I feel like surreal is not a bad energy. It's not a good energy. You can make it a bad or a good energy. Surrealism is just things that are uncanny, that are interesting and fascinating, but also kind of maybe sometimes a little bit scary or a little bit worrying. Things that make us worry because we don't truly understand them very well, or they don't make sense. But at the same time, those things that don't make sense are also fascinating us at the same time. And it feels like your guides are saying, really, please take advantage of this energy. Take advantage of the surreal energy. There's something that it has to teach you. It feels like it's something that you can't understand. It's something that feels very strange and very intriguing, but at the same time, because it's strange and intriguing and enticing and tempting, it makes you feel like it might have danger behind it or may have bad connotations behind it. But I feel like your guides are saying, no, it does not. It only has behind it whatever you assign to it or whatever feelings you assign to it. It almost feels like there's certain energies that your guides want you to explore. For some of you, it could be that you are interested in dabbling in some divination, or maybe you're interested in dabbling something that you've never done before. But it feels like it doesn't have to be divination or spiritual stuff. It feels like you might want to do something that feels really interesting and really fascinating to you, but because you don't fully understand it yet, it also kind of scares you. I'm kind of getting 12th house, 8th house matters. So it could be that you are interested in observing your subconscious, observing the more hidden parts of life. Maybe you're interested in really dissecting your dreams, really dissecting your when you meditate, maybe you want to dissect what you meditated very, very deeply afterwards. It could also be things like, divination, as I said, the occult, or just things that are fascinating, interesting, but at the same time, they hold some sort of level of fear or discomfort for you. And you really want to, and the reason why it feels like that you want to dabble in these things, the reason that you want to dabble in these things is because you realize that the only reason you have fear of them is because you have been programmed to have fear of these certain things. And if you actually push yourself to interact with these things, the more you interact with them, the less you will fear them. This could also be to do with people. I feel like this could be maybe a person that you find intriguing and fascinating and interesting and exciting, but at the same time, something about them scares you, or maybe something about this person's demeanor makes you feel like, well, I don't really understand them very well, or I don't really understand their background very well, and that makes me uncomfortable and makes me scared to interact with them. It could be both of these things, but I feel like you're being encouraged to interact with things that fascinate you, intrigue you. Obviously take your time with them, but it kind of feels like allow yourself to experiment, allow yourself to go towards things that fascinate you. But the main thing right now is that you don't have to be very hands-on about it right now. It's okay to just observe and take in information passively. It's okay to be passive right now, I feel like, is your main message with this drawing. That's what I'm getting. Because you're in a very magical place in your life right now. You're in a very magical state of mind. There's a lot of magical, kind of like magical observations that you're making, but you haven't found a way to put them all together yet. And that is making you feel a little bit defensive and a little bit scared. But in reality, there's nothing to be scared about, because soon enough you'll be able to place puzzle pieces together or something like that. That's what it feels like. And the fact that she's sitting on a branch is also making me feel like branch out, that like that saying, you should branch out. So maybe there's something you want to branch out into, but you're like, I'm fascinated by this thing that I want to branch out into. But I'm not entirely sure if I can or if I should, or if it's something that is gonna, be scary in the end. And something that I noticed as well when I was drawing this reading, and I have to mention this because I was laughing to myself when I was doing this, the color scheme that I picked for this specific Russian doll, the purple headscarf and the mermaid body being green and the wings being white, reminded me of like Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. I just thought it was so funny because he literally has like white wings. I'm pretty sure like he has a green bodysuit, and he has this purple cap thing on his head. And so it made me think of the saying that he says in the when they press his button, he's like, reach for the sky. It kind of makes me think of that. So it kind of makes me feel like your guides are saying, reach for the sky, branch out. Even if you're scared, you need to, sometimes we're scared of something, but the only way to not be scared of it is to actually go full force at it and explore it and understand it. So there's something that your guides are challenging you to explore and understand, and there's a reason that you're fascinated by it. There's a reason that you're interested and attracted to it, or maybe there's a reason that you're attracted to a person, fascinated by a person, but they are kind of scaring you. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to like enter a relationship with them or be best friends with them, but there's no harm in getting to know why. I feel like there's that kind of challenge from your guides. Okay, now we're gonna get into the tarot, and we have the Page of Pentacles, the Page of Cups. I feel like this is, sorry, because I remember I was shuffling them. We've got the Moon was coming in first, and then we had the Page of Pentacles was the middle, and the Page of Cups was the last one. So, okay, let me see. So the Moon makes sense to me here, because the Moon talks about fears and being fascinated by things that maybe we should be afraid of, realizing that sometimes we're afraid of things for a reason, because we're afraid, like if you touched fire and you burnt yourself one day, you would be afraid of the fire from then on. There's legitimate reasons because of safety or because of things like that. But there is also certain fears that are, they almost come from imagination. We imagine certain fears because what we don't know or what we don't understand, we fear. And so there is this feeling, the way that I was saying in the other group, the way that I'm going to do this reading is we're looking at your past, your future, and how to integrate the two of them. So with the Moon in reverse, you would be quite opposed to exploring your fears. Maybe there's literally a fascination right now that you're going through where you're feeling like you want to explore your fears. Like maybe certain things that you're afraid of, you're like, let me face them. Let me go into it. But you are kind of feeling like, okay, when am I going to do it? And maybe you're a little bit hard on yourself because you're not doing it. You're fascinated with doing it, but you're not yet doing it. And your guides are saying, it's okay. You can pause. Sometimes when you're about to do something where you have to face your fear, sometimes when you're about to do something where you have to stand face to face with your fear and have a conversation with that fear, you need to psych yourself up a little bit sometimes. And I feel like you're in the pause moment, a very magical moment of where you're psyching yourself up. What I'm visualizing for you specifically, it's like you and your guides, it's like all of you are together on some sort of, maybe this is happening while you're asleep or something, because I was getting that a lot. So it could be happening while you're asleep or in some sort of subconscious state where your guides are like, right, okay, you can do this, right? And you're like, yeah, I can do this. And they're like psyching you up, and they're giving you extra subconscious information to help you navigate these fears. And they're giving you like, here's how you do it. Here's how you can navigate this energy, and how you can go towards this fear and face it. Here's the best path. Here's the best route. Here's what to avoid doing. Here's what to do. There's that kind of feeling. It's almost like on a subconscious level when you are sleeping. Maybe that's why you need a lot of sleep right now. Maybe it's because your guides are always kind of like, hey, come into the subconscious state so that we can give you some information. Like, and it's almost, it feels like your guides being like, we're calling a meeting, and they'll send you feeling tired for a nap or something like that. They're like, we need to get group 2 tired so that they go for a nap so we can subconsciously feed some information to them. That's what it feels like. And you're resisting it, and you're like, no, I'm not going to go for a nap. I'm not going to rest. I'm not going to relax. No. And they can be, I feel like your guides can be a little bit frustrated around that, because they're like, no, you have to go for a nap so that we can subconsciously feed you some information. So, if you've been resisting naps, group 2, it's a good idea to stop resisting them and allow yourself to nap as much as you need for the next, near future, the next while. So because you are releasing the idea that something that you have a fear of has to be bad. You're realizing that sometimes you have a fear of something just because you don't understand it enough. And so for that, you need a lot of rest. So then we're going into the future, and then I'll talk about the integration. But first, we're going to start with the future card. So the future card is the Page of Cups in reverse. So I feel like you're going into a future where you are, Page of Cups in reverse means different things to me, but in this specific energy, what I'm picking up on is that you are no longer, it's like you're no longer seeing certain things from a childlike perspective, or maybe there's something about your inner child giving over the reins. So maybe there's certain fears that you see through the eyes of your inner child. And so it kind of feels like within this process of understanding these fears and facing these fears, your inner child is going to be comfortable to give over the reins around whatever these topics are or these people are to the adult you. And so there might be certain people, why you're afraid of them, or why you're fascinated but you're also kind of scared of them. Why that might be is because it's your inner child holding the reins of you understanding this person. And when you are starting to integrate this, what's going to happen is that the adult you is going to come in and say, okay, inner child, you can give me the reins now, because I can look after us being around this person, and I can make sure that we're okay being around this person. And so I'm getting a feeling in the future is that your inner child is going to be very comfortable with not being the one to look at fears. Maybe right now, a lot of your fears that you do hold, you may not even realize it, but on a subconscious level, it kind of feels like the childhood you is still processing those fears, when the adult you could be taking that off of the child's hands, if that makes sense. And it's happening on such a subconscious level that it's very difficult to distinguish. And I'm even thinking about how the whole inner child energy is very prevalent here from the very start, because the first thing that I said with you, group 2, is that this is a poem that was read to me as a child. So I do have an association with this specific card with my childhood. So I think that's very interesting. So there is an inner child influence that's happening when it comes to your feelings around these surreal people or energies or things that you really want to explore and things that you're very fascinated by, but yet it's very hard to understand them because it's the inner child you that's trying to understand them, and the inner child you is not meant to even think about those things. The inner child you is meant to play and be excited and have fun, and the person who's meant to process these things is the adult you. And so there's almost a giving over the reins. I feel like you're just going through a process of letting your inner child know that they don't have to be in charge of assessing fear and assessing danger and assessing things that might hurt them. So maybe there is something here that your inner child has learned, maybe in early childhood or, you know, whatever, teen years, because teenager time is still part of your childhood, you know, or in teenage years, the child you or the teenage you realized that they had to be very vigilant with their fears. And when the adult you came about, they still felt like they wanted to hold responsibility over fear. And it's almost like the two of you didn't even the adult you and the child you, like the inner child and the adult, did not realize that the adult could actually take responsibility for the fears. But I feel like you're going in a direction where the adult you is not only taking responsibility for the fears and is like realizing, oh, I can take care of this. You don't have to worry about this. All you need to go do is play and enjoy yourself and have fun and do fun things for yourself. It's almost like your inner child and you speaking together. And I'm going to go take care of these fears, and I'm going to look into them, and I'm going to dissect them and understand them for us. And then I'll come back and I'll explain these fears to you. So there's almost a process of the adult you taking responsibility for the fears away from the inner child you, but you didn't realize that the inner child had, it's almost like if the inner child had a controller that you didn't know they had this whole time. And it's like, not because they didn't tell you because they were playing tricks on you or anything. They didn't know that they could give you the responsibility and they could give you the controller now. I hope this is making sense, but this is what I'm feeling. And then we've got the Page of Pentacles in terms of integration. So to integrate this energy, your guides are saying it's important to learn new coping mechanisms, but also it's important to teach your inner child new coping mechanisms. And a lot of these coping mechanisms with fear and seeing things that scare you but fascinate you, you know that you're pulled towards them, you know that you want to try them out or you want to see what happens with them, but something about a fearful energy doesn't allow you to do it. You just need a coping mechanism for your inner child and the adult version of you to realize that it's okay to look at things that are scary, because at the end of the day, you already have the skill of figuring out what is a legitimate fear that is like, you know, a practical fear, a fear of like, you know, going in, you know, walking into a fire, you know, or something like that. Or, you know, a legitimate fear of like, I shouldn't swim when it's really windy out and, you know, there could be a lot of waves and I could drown. Like that kind of fear is obviously understandably very different from a fear of the unknown. You're tackling the fear of the unknown. That's what it feels like. You're tackling the fear of things that you don't understand. You're tackling the fear of... And so far, it feels like your inner child always tackled the fear of the unknown and had the controller for the fear of the unknown. But now you're saying, you know what? I think it's not so bad because it's the unknown, and the unknown is neither good or bad. It's neither pleasant or unpleasant. It's just the unknown. It's a blank slate. So what I'm gonna do is the adult version of me is gonna take the controller and I'm gonna navigate through the unknown, and I think I'll be okay. I feel like I'm pretty comfortable navigating things that I don't know. And you, inner child, you can just relax, and I'll explain to you when I come across unknown things and things that I don't understand. And once I do understand them, I will feed back the information back to you and I will explain what I have learned. But it's obviously going to be happening on very subconscious level. But it's almost like that's the thought process. That's the way that it's going to move. That's the way. And you're doing really well. But what you need to do before you do it is rest and take some time off to sleep and relax and gather energy so that you have enough energy to be brave and courageous. That's what it feels like for you, group 2. So that's what I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it was fun for you. I really enjoyed doing it, and I'd love to hear your feedback if you wanted to share, but that's all I have. I'm going to hold up the drawing for very last time so you can have one last look at it if you want to take a screenshot or anything like that if you feel like it. But yeah, that's all. And I'm going to move forward. So we're moving on to the next group. So last but not least, we're moving on to group 3. So group 3, here we go. This is the drawing. I'm going to reveal the drawing first. We're going to put the tarot cards away and we're going to get the messaging from the drawing first. Now, as I said in the other groups, please feel free to channel your own messages through this drawing. If you're getting something out of this drawing that is like a different message than what I am giving you, please take that, because I think it's really important that in these like general readings that people watch on YouTube or wherever, that people know how to discern when something like a message is for you and a message is not for you. It's really important for, if it doesn't feel right in your body, like something that I'm saying or something that any reader is saying, it's really important to know just not to take it and not to be worried that, oh, this answer doesn't feel right, but this reader said that the answer is right, so it must be right. It's really important to just know and practice that kind of level of discernment for yourself. And if you read tarot, that's just important anyway. Discernment is so important in reading tarot. So I do feel like for you and for the other groups, I want to encourage you to take your messages first and whatever I say second. That's the most important part. So we're going to take these cards away. So these are going to be for later, and we're going to get started with the drawing first. So I'll show you the drawing very quickly. In this drawing, I had one mother Russian doll, and then the rest of her, the rest of the Russian dolls were her daughters, or whatever you want to interpret them as. I basically wanted to draw a Russian doll that would have all her, all the other Russian dolls that are meant to be inside her behind her. So there's a very protective energy obviously in this card. As you can see, they're all kind of behind her looking over her shoulder. I just really loved that kind of sense of a protector. And also, as you notice probably, I put Venus signs on her cheeks as her kind of like rouge, or because the Russian dolls usually have these kind of like circular blush spots that people draw into them, and I just thought the Venus sign was really fun. And she was reminding me of the Empress. Again, I'm not giving names to these cards, but it's just like she was reminding me of the Empress as I was drawing, so I drew a little crown above her head as well. And I wanted to mimic the Empress's dress with the pomegranates on it then as well, by giving her like a polka dot dress. But I didn't want it to be too close to the Empress because, again, as I said, I don't want to name these cards. But I wanted to add polka dots to her dress to kind of mimic that, or to represent that in some sort of way in my mind, or whatever. I also wanted to create a lot of roundness with this specific card. As you notice, there's a lot of polka dots. There's a lot of roundness to this energy. You see the roundness coming out to the sides, with obviously the other little reiterations of the Russian doll coming through. We can even see a little baby here, and they all have very circular shapes all through out. So we have the very circular hair with the little curls. We also have the circular cheeks. We have the circular, obviously the circular shape to their bodies, and we've got the polka dots. And even, you know, if you notice, there's like half circles to mimic kind of lace, I suppose, or something like that. And I even added a little like dodi or soother or whatever you want to call it to the baby Russian doll. So what I'm getting from that imagery for your message is that you are a protector of some sort to somebody right now, whether you realize it, whether you don't realize it. You are a protector. You are you're like a really important energy in your lineage. And I feel like maybe a lot of your ancestors are coming through with this reading if you pick this group. It kind of feels like your guides don't want you to underestimate yourself in terms of the role that you play within your ancestral line, within your lineage, within your like family unit even. Do not underestimate yourself as a character or as a key role. You are a key character in your ancestry, in your family unit, in your lineage. There's something very important that you bring to the table. Some of you might be questioning that, or some of you might think that you are not appreciated in your family unit. For some of you, maybe people don't show you appreciation, but I do feel like there is something about you that is really important to your family, and your family couldn't do without you, if that makes sense. That is what I'm getting here for like the first couple of messaging, or the first couple of messages that I'm getting as well. Another thing that I'm getting is that a lot of people find protection in you, but it almost feels like you don't always get to see it. You don't always get to see that people feel very protected by you, because it feels like people maybe don't voice it. People maybe don't express it as much as they should, or maybe they don't know how to. There could be that kind of energy to it as well. Like, people don't know how to express it to you properly. People don't know how to explain the protection energy that you have over them. It does feel like you encompass people in this very protective light, because I remember when I was drawing this reading, all I kept drawing was a load of yellow light around her in a circle as well. And so it makes me feel like you protect people. Not only like you protect them with your actions, or you protect them with your advice, or you protect them with, you know, something physical or tangible. You protect people with literally just like when you're in the room, people feel protected in some sort of way. And it's not just people that are within your own family unit either. It's especially people in your family unit, but I feel like people that are not your family directly, or, you know, they're just hanging out with you a lot of the time, find a lot of solace and a lot of protective energy in your presence. And it's very important presence to have. I feel like also another thing that I'm getting is that a lot of people try to mimic this protective energy, and a lot of people want to learn this. You could teach people how to be a protector. There's something about this, whether you want to make a career out of it or you don't. Again, you don't have to monetize everything that you do, but there's something about people noticing the energy of your protection and noticing how protective you can be, and how like it feels like a skill. Your protective nature and your protective energy and your ability to just make everyone feel at ease, because it's like, oh, okay, group 3 is here. We're going to be protected because they're here, and not because they're super strong, or not because they're like the smartest person in the world. It's not because they're anything. Maybe they are those things. It's like, but they're not the reasons that we feel protected by person in group 3. It feels like there's a certain it's just a certain quality, or a set of skills or qualities, that allows for protection, if that makes sense. And so a lot of people want to learn or mimic your ability to protect. And I wonder if your guides want you to teach people. Maybe you feel the burden of being the protector. Maybe you feel the burden of being the one who makes sure that everyone is okay, and make sure that no one is being taken advantage of, or no one is being hurt. But the truth is that you can teach other people to take the responsibility of protection and unload your responsibility in some sort of way. So maybe you want to teach other people in your family unit, like, hey, here's the reason that you feel protected with me. Here's the reason that you feel like everything's going to be okay when I'm around. Let me show you how I do it. Let me show you how my protective energy works. And in order for you to teach and help people mimic this protective energy, or this protection energy, you need to understand it yourself. And so I feel like your guides are calling on you to understand yourself in the role of the protector, and really dissect and research your role as the protector, because it's an important role. I feel like your guides want you to sit down and meditate and journal about times where you stood up for people, times where you protected people, times where you were able to make someone feel very comfortable and safe. And whatever things come to mind, like whatever situations, that they can be as big or small as possible, but it feels like a journaling prompt, like almost, how did I protect people? How did I make people feel safe? How did I make people feel like everything was going to be okay? You have this quality of making people feel like everything is going to be okay and nobody's going to touch them, and like as long as you're around. But what you're not realizing is that you could teach people how to replicate that feeling, and they will start protecting themselves. But it's not fully protection. It's like, it's that feeling of, I'm untouchable, like, but not in this boastful way. It's like, I am protected, I'm untouchable, literally nothing can hurt me. And I think something, you may not feel like this about yourself too much, but I feel like you think about it to a certain extent, and maybe you're developing that skill a little bit better. You have whether you realize this or not, you've got like a natural skill to knowing that as long as you're living according to your morals, as long as you're living according to your beliefs, as long as you're living peacefully, as long as you're really trying to work on yourself and really trying to connect with yourself, that nobody could take it away from you or nobody could hurt you. Like nothing, you're untouchable. Ultimately, what I'm hearing is ultimately I'm untouchable. That's something that's coming through. And that's why you feel so comfortable in protecting and defending other people. But you could teach other people to do the same. That's what it feels like. Okay, let's look into the tarot part of things to get more information on this message and what this message is supposed to mean. So another thing that I'm going to do, so the way that this is going to work, I have 3 cards here. So the way that they came out, I remember this one was in the middle. So we're taking this as the integration card. And this is going to be the integration, how to merge. And this is going to be the future, and this is going to be the past. And I feel, again, family energy is very strong with the 10 of Cups here. So let me talk about the past energy first. The past energy is the 3 of Cups in reverse. And the energy that I'm getting is that in the past, the community or the family or the, like, this could even be your siblings, because 3 of Cups to me sometimes means siblings. But another thing that this could mean, it could be soul family rather than like literal family. Maybe your soul family, or like it could be like friends, people in your life, your tribe, whatever way you want to call it, over relied on you for protection, for safety, for feeling like they were in the right place. There's something about over relying on you because you're such a powerful energy, because you're so clued in, and you don't even realize this about yourself probably. You have so much powerful energy that a lot of people in your family unit, your friend unit, whatever it is you want to, like your circle of people, really rely on you for protection in some sort of way, even if it's very spiritual rather than. A lot of people want you in their life because they feel like their life is protected if you're there. That's the way that it feels. It feels like everything's going to be okay. We're going to be protected. We will be looked after as long as group 3 is in our lives. Like, that's the way that it feels. But I do feel like with the 3 of Cups in reverse, it's like some people over relied on that. Some people almost wanted you to solve their problems for them potentially. Some people maybe wanted you to drop everything that you were doing so that you could protect protect them, so that you could defend them. And so your guides are saying that you obviously, maybe there's a part of you that's growing tired of it, or maybe you've grown tired of it already, but I feel like you know how to kind of alert people to this without being too mean or, being too harsh about it. And I feel like what you're going to start doing, because this is the integration card, and the integration card is the 10 of Cups, you're going to start showing the people in your family unit, your friend unit, in your circle, you're going to start showing people that as long as we have each other, we're protected. As long as we care about each other and spend time with each other, and as long as we cultivate really deep and meaningful relationships with each other, we are protected. And you're going to start showing other people, because it feels like it's multiple people in whatever this unit is, whether it's a friendship group, whether it's a family, whether it's both, but whether it's a community, you're showing people that they can rely on each other and they don't always have to rely specifically on you. You are obviously someone with a lot of leader-like characteristics, sorry. You're obviously someone who is quite a confident person to it, even if you don't see yourself as very confident, I feel like a lot of people see your confidence that you don't see within yourself. But it's like, you're obviously some sort of like leadership energy that people, when they see it, they feel so protected and so looked after that they stop, like they forget to remember that you're not the only person that could protect them or could look after them. That there's other people in their unit, there's other people in their vicinity that could also look after them, protect them, keep them safe, make them feel safe. And also that they themselves can make themselves feel safe and looked after. And so I feel like what you're going to be doing in a very gentle way, it's very Empress energy. It's like, I'm going to teach you. And again, it's like, it's not like you're sitting people down in class or anything, but you are kind of using conversations that you're having with these people, using interactions that you're having with these people to show them that they are completely capable of protecting themselves, or that there are people in their life outside of you that can protect them and look after them and, be there for them. So you're doing it in a very subtle way, and you're showing people that they don't always have to worry if you're not around, if that makes sense. They don't always have to be scared or worry that you're abandoning them, or worry that you're not, leaving them behind if you're not constantly there. Something that maybe is coming through as well is, I'm kind of getting this energy of someone who maybe spent a long time in their life helping people and solving people's problems for them, and while they liked serving and helping people a lot, they're interested in having some me time now. They're interested in just spending time with themselves and on themselves. And so I feel like you're in a new chapter in your life. You've done the protecting, you've done the taking care of. Maybe you're someone who's has children and you're ready to, your children are adult and they're independent and you're ready to release them into their independence. Or maybe you're like an older sibling and you spent a long time looking after the younger siblings, but now you're ready to kind of like release that responsibility. Maybe, it could be a multitude of things, but it just feels like you're ready to release people to just be self-reliant and self-protecting. It kind of feels like, like in superhero movies when the superhero is like saving the world and doing the most, and like they get kind of tired. They're like, what about me? I want to like go look after myself now. I don't want to be doing this. I want to go and like live in the woods, or do, live somewhere else and live it up and just enjoy myself in luxury. And because the Empress energy as well, because this card I can't help but remind myself of Empress when I look at this card. Empress energy is very much about like living it up in luxury, enjoying sensory experiences, like sensual experience, enjoying creativity, but not being rushed. And sometimes when you have to like protect people or look after people or defend people, that can create a feeling of being rushed. And I feel like you're in a state or in a place where you're ready to go, Please don't reach out to me if you have a problem. Try and solve it yourself. But you're going to say it in a very nice and heartfelt way. That's what I'm getting. So you're moving into this future, which is the Five of Cups now. Don't get scared. Like, it's not a bad energy, because I am getting a very positive energy for you. The Five of Cups is more so because it does talk about crying over spilt milk versus what you have, you know? Something that I'm getting is that maybe you feel like you've wasted more time, not wasted, because I don't think you've wasted the time, but you may feel like you took up the role of the protector and the person that was always solving everyone else's problems for maybe too long. And maybe that's something that you've kind of noticed in yourself and something that you've pinpointed in yourself. And you're like, oh, I spent so long doing all these things for other people when I could have taught them how to be self-reliant and self-protecting, and I could have, let go. I think as soon as you integrate this, as soon as you show people that they can look after themselves and that they are always protected and that they can teach themselves how to feel protected, you're going to realize, like, why didn't I do this sooner? There's that kind of feeling. There's like an energy of like, why did it take me so long to do this? Why didn't I do this sooner? I spent so many years doing that when I could have been doing this, like that kind of feeling. And I feel like your guides are saying, do not be tempted to feel like you wasted time protecting people, because at the end of the day, even though maybe you did spend more time protecting people than you really needed to, it does not mean that you didn't get valuable experience out of it, and it does not mean that you did not gather extra knowledge and extra information in doing it. So it will still serve you those extra years. That it kind of feels like, the way if you were in college, let's say, and you were doing a degree or something like that, and you had a few modules that you had to do for that degree, but you could also add a module on if you wanted to, but it would mean that you would maybe spend more time in school or more time in college or whatever, due to that extra module. So, and while maybe, yes, it took you longer than to finish that degree than other people because you took that extra module on, it does not mean that that module didn't serve anything to you. It just means that you have an extra bit of knowledge. You've done an extra module that you didn't expect to do. So that's what I'm getting with this energy. It's like your guides are saying, it's okay that you took longer to let go of this. You took longer to stop doing things for other people, but you kind of learned invaluable information that you wouldn't have learned if you didn't do it. It's not that you needed that information. It's not that it was like absolutely crucial, but it's gonna come in handy somewhere in your life. And so your guides are like, no sweat. But I feel like you don't sweat a lot of things, group 3. I don't feel like you do when I'm looking at this spread. I feel like the key to you doing this is really being warm with whatever this community is, whether it's friends or whether it's family or, whatever this circle is. The key is warmth, and the key is letting them know that you will always be there for them, but you want to be there for yourself right now, and you want to be connected to yourself right now. Family is important, and of course, whether it's soul family, friendship type of family, or literal family, yes, that's important, but the connection to yourself and the connection to yourself as an individual is also extremely important, and that's something that you really need right now. So it's kind of like having conversations with your friends about it, having conversations with your family about it, but very warm, very welcoming conversations where you are open to questions, where you're open to people wondering like why and how, and being like, yeah, let me explain where I'm coming from, and let me explain how you can replicate this feeling without me being here and present, for every single problem that you're going through. So yeah, that's what I have for you, group number 3. I really enjoyed doing this reading with every single group, and with you, group 3. If you enjoyed this reading as much as I did, like and subscribe. And if you feel like sharing some feedback, please do that as well. I'm gonna bring this card, this drawing up a little bit closer so you can take a closer look and observe this card a little bit more. But this is what I have for you. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'll see you in my next video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.